That day also they said that they can't understand, kind of. So I don't know. Now today I think two people are missing. You just talk to them, Mr. Myra. Okay, fine. So last class we spoke about principles and hello.
Yes, miss, we are listening.
Okay. Last class we spoke about principles and functions of counseling and guidance. Am I right? Did I give you any homeworks, Tilbu?
Yeah, miss. You give.
I gave, but
Principles of what is that? Guidance and counseling. Find some
okay.
principles of
Did I
guidance.
give you any homework to do?
Yeah. That's the
What is the
homework. Find some principles of guidance and counseling.
Miss,
okay?
you said theories, right?
I said theories, I guess.
Find more theories of counseling.
Yeah,
That's
theories of counseling,
Yeah.
not principles. Theories.
Miss, theories
Now
in a
we
sense
spoke
it is
about on
like
only one
psycho
theory
and
now.
yeah.
Okay. What are the theories you found?
Miss, I just now I remembered Miss to be frank. So I found
Very good. Who is this?
it's with Rakshana.
Rakshana. So nice.
No, Miss, but
You
then see I knew the correct homework.
okay? Okay. So you want me to excuse yourself for that?
Yeah, Miss, please.
You consider yourself lucky because you're not in the class, physical
Yeah.
class.
Exactly.
Ah, right. Amna, Amna was not there no last class.
Yeah,
Yeah.
miss, I had staff training last week.
Okay, I thought we missed you actually. There were a lot of
Oh,
questions and everything, but you were not there now.
I'll be
Uh,
there.
isn't it, Rakshana?
Yeah, Miss, because her doubts and everything we missed, na Miss.
My doubts.
Yeah.
Your doubts actually. So Ananda is not here, I guess.
Miss, they will
Miss
come, Miss.
Lehini said she will join now.
Lahini is already
They
there.
are
She
doing the
just,
homework.
They are doing the homework. Okay.
Yes, Miss.
Rakshana, Rakshani. Okay, right, right. Good. So today we are going to talk about. Okay, anyone who found this thing, found anyone who did the homework? Just tell me. Anybody?
Miss, what was it you gave, Miss?
I
I'll
asked them
check
to
now.
find some theories of counseling.
Theories of counseling.
Miss, is that theory is like psychoanalytic theory? Is it like that?
Yeah, those are perspectives. There are six perspectives. Theories, yeah, you can consider that as a theory too. It
Uh,
means there are ways that we can do counseling. We can like um, we can pursue
Miss,
counseling
your
in many
line is
ways.
lagging, Miss. I can't hear you properly.
Amna, you okay? Fine. I'm in the
Yes.
proper, very strong connection too. So maybe problem is from your side.
My connection is
Others can
also
hear me
great, Miss.
yes, Miss, I can hear you.
clear, loud and clear.
Yes.
Yes, Miss.
Okay. So problem is with Amna because I'm in the very strong network connection also. Right. So there are certain perspectives that you can consider as theories, as you say, uh, analytical theory, phenomenological
Behavioral
theory,
comes.
theory of
Behavioral theory.
behavioral theory, yeah, phenomenological theory, yes, behavioral theory, uh,
Humanistic.
humanistic theory. What else?
Cognitive. Counseling theory.
Cognitive counseling theory, and
Constructionist.
constructionism. No, that is not a theory. That is not a perspective. Psychoanalytical is basically Sigmund Freud's theory. It emerged from Sigmund Freud's theory. And Carl Rogers' theory comes under phenomenological theory. It's person center. And humanistic theory is Skinner, not Skinner actually. Ivan and others, yeah. Humanistic theory. And behavioral theory again, Skinner and Pavlov and all. So like that, according to the perspective that they had, time to time, the counseling theories has been changed. So ancient days we spoke about counseling. Ancient days counseling considered as philosophy, right? So Plato, Aristotle, these are the people who actually put a base on counseling, because counseling and psychology was considered as part of a philosophy. And later it emerged lot of theories, like a lot of perspectives to look into. So we can think about these perspectives as windows. Which window you are looking at the person? Okay. Now, if that window doesn't show you a clear picture of the person, you change the window. So as a counselor, you should know many theories, then you can be an effective counselor, right? So some people, person-centered theory works. For some people, it doesn't work. So we have to take another chance. Like we have to talk about their childhood, their sexual issues and things, and see whether problem occurs from those sides. If the person-centered theory doesn't work. For some people, both these theories won't work. The behavioral theory works. Very simple, right? So it differs. That's why I ask you to find out theories and take a short note. So this homework is there for you for the next class too. Okay? Everyone knows my email ID?
No, miss.
No, miss.
No, no, miss.
My email ID. Mail me. In the heading, you have to put your name, homework, and the branch, because other branches also, they also send, so I don't know who you are and from where you are sending, right? Newcomers, do you all have any issues in this? Chaitini, Sashmi,
madam.
can you do, you think?
Yes, madam. Yes, madam.
Apparently Google දෙයටනේ වඳින්න යන්නේ නේ. I know. Right. එහෙම හරි, but do some proper researches, okay? Do some proper search. If you find any books, take it from that also. If you can ask from anyone, talk to them also. You have 1 week's time. No, not 1 week's time, 3 days time. So do that. It's very interesting. It's really,
So,
really
miss, by
interesting.
Friday you want it?
Exactly.
Okay.
10 points from now. I want it on Friday. Okay,
Okay.
good. So, okay, Chaitanya and Sashmi, can you understand what I'm teaching?
Yes, madam. Little bit.
Little. Because we started this with a lot of theories initially. We spoke about child psychology in this, why we are learning this, and all those things has been already given, right? So now, because you came in the middle, you don't know what is the purpose, right? So just
Yeah.
go with the flow. If you have any questions, it's okay. I told you even last time also, you can ask me anything. You ask me. We are all helpful, okay?
Okay.
So when I'm doing for the next batch, it means your batch, when other people also come and we start, we'll do it from the start so you can cover these things. You can come and sit for that class also and you can finish this off. Okay? Don't worry. Anyway, you will get a clear picture. Until that, you just try to work with us. Okay? Have the notes and everything properly with you. So that's easy for you. And do your searches, you do your extra studies on this, then you can easily understand what exactly going on. Okay? Right. Okay. Right. I'm sharing my screen. Roles, characteristics, and skills of a counselor. Right. So now, when I'm going through this note, you will find it. Okay, we already gone through these topics before also. Why are why are we going through it again? You will get these questions, right? The reason is characteristics and skills of a counselor is almost same. The thin difference is characteristic, but you should have to become a counselor. Skills, but you should practice, right? Roles, what is your responsibility and how you overcome your problems. Okay, only very thin differences, but overall these they have divided into three for you to get a better idea about counseling. Now you are in a place of a teacher, right? So you are going to teach students, guide them, and in the meantime, if you find a need of counseling, you are going to give a basic counseling. So for that, you need to have a basic knowledge of counseling, at least a basic idea of counseling. So that's why we are in this. Am I right? Okay. So now today, in brief discussion, we are going to talk about roles, characteristics, and skills of a counselor. Okay, right. Characteristic of effective counselor. Now, to be a counselor, to be an effective counselor, a person should have several characteristics, right? If you don't find many of these characteristics, I don't think it means normally we say the person is not fit to be a counselor. Okay, there are something very important you have to have. There are something it's good if you are having it. Okay, so 41st thing is self-awareness and understanding. You should know who you are. Now, I have seen many students, there are many people, they go for counseling and they find it effective, and then they think it's very easy thing. So why not I also become a counselor? And they try to learn, but where they have their own distresses which they can't manage by themselves. Some people actually learn counseling for them to manage themselves, but some people try to help others where they also have distresses. So before getting into a counseling career, you should clear out all your mental distresses and depressions. At least you should be able to manage and control those. So very special characteristic of an effective counselor is self-awareness and understanding, because if you don't know what is your impulses are and how to control those, you can't be an effective counselor in front of a disturbed client, because counseling, we know, can make a person and also break a person. So a person comes to us for counseling because he need to make his path, make his future, not to break. So we have to be very careful about our self awareness and understanding about ourselves. right? So good psychological health, good psychological health, right? So again, the same thing. So if you are suffering from any psychological effects, it's better you keep away from counseling others, at least for the moment, for that moment, right? So good psychological health is a must to do counseling, because if you feel gloomy, if you feel distressed, and if you're feeling more impulsive than the client, then no point you're doing counseling. Before that, you have to take a counseling session for yourself. And sensitivity. The jot mark is not there. I'll put it later. Sensitivity. You have to have sensitivity towards the issue. But that doesn't mean you have to cry or you have to get angry with the client, right? It's sensitivity to listen to the person and understand what actually he is going through and how we will feel. Open mindedness. Open minded. What does that mean? What does that mean? Open mindedness. Why should we be open minded?
Being open, like
Yeah.
without hiding anything.
So if a client comes, you are going to say all about yourself, isn't it?
No, like being
No.
open-mindedness means like accepting whatever they are saying without judging it.
Exactly. Open mindedness. You are not going to pin any of your beliefs or any of your behaviors or anything to him. You are not going to apply any of your ideas to the client. You are going to accept the person as he is. If you have that open mind, yes, you can be an effective counselor. If not, if you are timid, if you are rigid about your beliefs and things, you can't. Okay, I'll tell you a good story. There was a girl in our class when I was doing counseling classes. It means when I was teaching, I was learning. She was there, and she was really doing good in the class. She does all the assignments properly and everything, exam, studying, and all those things. Now, when it comes to practice sessions, she refused to do counseling to men. She asked, she's telling me like, okay, when we were trying to practice and all those things, we are finding places to practice and all. She said, I am not comfortable doing counseling for men. I'm okay with kids. Now I ask, okay, when if you might be okay with kids, but when you're dealing with kids, you have to deal with the parents. Parents not always women. There is a man involved in that. So what will you do? Oh yeah, no. What am I going to do? Because my family is not going to allow me to do this. So the simple question that I had is, why did you do counseling? Why did you waste all your 2 years in this? If your family is not going to allow you to do counseling for men, there is nothing called men, women, children, or anything. Counseling is counseling. Whomever comes to you, you accept the person as he is or she is and do the counseling thing. There is no much differences unless otherwise they overdo things. Then you can seek help. But otherwise, counseling has to be equal to everyone, right? So, open-minded mind is a compulsory thing for you to get into counseling. Once in a class, not in your class, in some other class, in a counseling practice, I asked a girl to do a role play. Actually, it's not a real client; it's a role play, just a role play. So she encountered a guy The time the guy said, I'm a gay, she got up and ran away. So this is not the way. You have to accept whatever it is. Maybe your beliefs are different. But if a client comes and sit, if you accept to be a counselor, and if a client comes and sit, you have to accept the person as he is. So that is called open-minded, being non-judgmental, right? Competence. What is competence now? What is competence? Look here. I don't know whether you are sleeping or just away from the mic, just away from the computer.
Miss, did you
Right?
explain objectivity? I didn't hear, Miss, because my network.
Okay, I
She
didn't
didn't
explain
explain
actually
objectivity.
objectivity. I didn't come to objectivity.
Okay.
Competence. Sorry, I missed it. What is competence? Huh? Any idea what is competence? What we mean by competence level? No idea.
To do something. The
Yeah.
ability to do something.
Competence 350. Sorry. The competence is ability. Ability in the sense how much you are competent to be a counselor. Means you how much knowledge that you have gathered. Okay. Now that's why I'm asking you to go search for things. So more than I'm finding notes and I'm giving you notes and you just muck up the notes and come and write an answer, more than that, you will be able to read and learn lot of things by doing a search on your own. You understand? So that will increase the competency of yours, right? So having more competency in a way of experience or in a way of intellectual study, academic, whatever. But competency will make a person a effective counselor. Objectivity. Now, if you can focus on certain thing, being in the objective, working on the objective path, being objectivity in the sense it's how object oriented you are. You should be able to address the main point. You should be able to sit down. Some people, like, the person would have come for a problem where you are not competent enough to discuss that, and you deviate him from that to another. Then he goes out from the room with the answer for which he doesn't come there for. Right? It's not the way. The objectivity, if a person comes for a problem, you have to be able to address the problem by being in it. That is objectivity. Trustworthiness. Any questions? Now you got it? Who asked?
Me, Miss Azmin.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay, you got it?
Yes, Miss.
Okay. Trustworthiness. What is trustworthiness? Any idea? Trustworthiness means you should be able
You shouldn't be
to.
telling any of your stories.
Sorry?
You shouldn't be telling any of their stories to anyone. It has to be with you. Is it that?
Exactly. Whatever discussed with you should be with you. Right? You can't tell it out without the concern of the person. Right? Because we don't know how people are connected with each other. Right? Sometimes you would have telling a story outside that can affect the person who really came to you, right? So sometimes that's why we are not supposed to tell out the whatever the information comes to us. Now, even in my case, I used to tell you some cases, but I never reveal who, where, and how, right? I only discuss the case. Never, I have never ever told you that this is the person, name and address and age and everything, right? That is also the cases which I discuss with you are concern cases. Like we took the concern from the particular person because it's unique. So for studies, we get for study purposes, we get the concern from the person, right? Otherwise, we don't use it. So trustworthiness is whatever comes to you should not go out without the client's consent, right? So trustworthiness. So trustworthiness is not only for a counselor. As a human being, we should have it, right? So gossiping will not help in counseling. Okay. Accessibility. The client, you should be able to accessible, access very easily. Like, okay, um, now if you try to be a president, it's not going to work because people should be able to reach you very easily. You have to be friendly. The counselor has to be friendly. Counselor has to be available in the given times. So accessibility is a must. If you can't maintain that, no point, right? Interpersonal attractiveness. So interpersonal attractiveness, especially when you are dealing with kids. Interpersonal attractiveness is a must, right? If you don't like to deal with kids, don't try to do counseling for them because kids has a very sensitive sensing power. They know whether this person is friendly with me or not. Okay. So interpersonal attractiveness is really a must if you are dealing with, especially with kids. For a counselor, it's a must. So that's why we ask you to be genuine, concreteness, where modest, all those things, right? Everything creates an interpersonal attractiveness to a counselor. Acceptance and respect. Now, once a person tell about his or her story, and after hearing that, you feel like, oh God, he is such a person. I should not respect what all he had done. That may be your mindset. Your thoughts may be that, but you are not supposed to show that in your gesture or by your words. If you start with sir or Mr., you have to keep on. If you start with miss or whatever the name, you have to keep up that throughout the session. You have to accept the person as he or she is. So if you can do that, if you can be consistent, then you are an effective counselor. Honesty. Honesty is something that if you know something, you can tell. If you don't know something, you can simply say, I don't know. Than bluffing. Okay? If you know, yes. If you don't know, you don't know. Without directing them in a wrong ways, in a blind ways. If you can do counseling but you can't do therapies, and if you find out that person needs therapy more than counseling, you have to direct them to a proper therapist. You just for retaining a client, you should not retain the client with you, right? That will be so harmful for the person. So honesty is, if you know that client needs additional support, medical support, or anything, you have to be able to direct them towards them. You have, if you know that, direct it properly. If you don't know, just say, I don't know. You can ask from any other sources. So honesty is a must. And tactfulness. Tactfulness. Okay. So Darshini has told us just to say, if I don't know, I don't know. So I'm going to, so this one I don't know, just I will say to the face, I don't know.
We don't know, miss.
So that's what you are going to say.
No, no, I should search for the answer.
So how are you going to tell? You will choose appropriate words. You will use your diplomacy, isn't it? Tactfulness. You will say, okay, I'm sorry. I wish I know these details, but I'm sorry, I don't know. I'll give you some other number or somebody that who knows about it. You can ask from them. So that is tactfulness. Than saying, no, no, I don't know. Please find it on your own. Right? So, okay. Now, you are all ladies, right? If a client comes and start talking about your how you look, how he feels about you, and things, how are you going to handle? Okay, you are there. You are a lady. A gentleman walks in, young, good-looking gentleman. And the moment he sat down, he is talking about, oh, I didn't expect a young lady like you. You look so good. So how are you going to make him talk to you? How are you going to make him talk and put your professionalism? Any idea? You will encounter
Maybe
these
you can
situations.
just say thank you and say, come, let's come to the point. I don't know.
So don't you think that is rigid?
Or
Thank you.
ignore what he
Come to the point.
says. Or ignore what he says.
But you can't ignore
And
me. Can we ignore him? He might feel very like offended if you ignore him. Maybe you have to at least say
Definitely.
thank you.
no, like just smile and just say, "Ah,
We
okay."
also have to say he looks handsome.
No.
Yeah, we should say he looks
No, no.
good. That's if he's handsome.
He's a, he's a good-looking man.
Yeah, but you are the counselor. You have limits.
No.
Okay. Yeah, tactfulness can be anything. Okay. Yeah, smile and say thank you. Huh? Thank you.
And go to the point.
You don't know the point now. The moment he comes in, he's talking
So-
about you now.
Yeah.
So you can say, I'm sure that you didn't come to talk about these things here. I'm sure that something is bothering you. Can I hear? So that shows him you're not interested, but whatever he is.
So what if he's not willing to say what his problem
If a
is?
person
If
is
he
not
talks
willing
out.
to talk to you, he will not come to you. Do you
I
think
mean, like
after
if we
paying?
say him,
Huh?
no, if we say him that okay, I'm sure that you're not here to talk about me and stuff, he might feel,
No, that's what I'm telling you. You have to use your tactfulness here, right?
mm,
You are not going to say, look here, you are not here to talk about me now. This is not the way you are not going to talk, right?
Miss, when you say
Normally,
things like that, do people get angry and walk off, Miss?
yeah, if you
that's
talk
what I
like this,
want
they
to
will.
know.
No, Miss, has it happened like people like get offended and they just go out? Do they do like that?
Not with me. But whenever we ask to pay, that happens in some people.
Ah, okay.
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 In some cases, not in my private practice, but in the places where I do services, I do free service, but the place requires some amount, a fee. So we ask them to pay that. That is a requirement of the place. So they said, "Oh, sorry, we thought it's free and all those things." If they really need for free, I will do it. But some really people who really can pay, but still they want some treatment like that, and they walk away. It's very rarely happens. But that is not a person who after comes and sit in front of me. That never happens. Because now when he comes, I say, we are not going to say like, look here, you came here not to talk about myself, no. You came here to talk about yourself. Just talk. We are not going to use this tone, isn't it? We are going to be polite. So, yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for your praise. But I'm sure something is bothering you, isn't it? That's why you are here, I guess. So can we talk about it? So you are using your professionalism, your gesture, and everything. So using those things will make him understand that you are not interested in loose talks, right? So using your so that's why you have to be tactful to handle people. I'm sure you are all have come across these type of people in day-to-day life, and you have handled nicely also, right? But outside the counseling room, my answers will be very different. But inside the counseling room, you have to be tactful. Okay? Even my answers will be different if it is outside the counseling room. But for the client, you can't do it because he is already in a distress. So you can't use that. Okay? Confidentiality. So confidentiality you have to create in the start. So trustworthiness and confidentiality all are same, but trustworthiness is something that you create a trust that he can share he or she can share everything with you. Confidentiality, whatever you get, you're giving him a confidentiality statement saying that everything spoken in this room will be kept secret, and you create a confidentiality to between you and the client. So confidentiality, you should be able to maintain a confidentiality and give them give them an idea of trustworthiness, right? So both are almost same. And empathetic. If you can't feel others' pain, no point you are being a counselor. So a counselor should have a basic quality of empathy, not sympathy. There is a huge difference between sympathy and empathy, right? You sympathize for a beggar. That's why you pay him some money or give him some food packet. But in empathy, you can't do that. You can only give your words and heart. That's it. Right? Any questions in this? Any
Yes.
questions?
No, miss.
Sure? Okay. Right. So being a, what are the characteristics that you have to carry to become an effective counselor, right? Now, counseling has several stages. Okay, several levels. You have to achieve all the levels step by step. So, counseling stages we discussed in the previous classes, isn't it? There are 3 stages we discussed, aren't we?
Yeah, miss.
Yeah, okay. So, these levels also fall into those 3 categories. You have to think which categories that they are going to fall into. Okay, it's in the detailed form. I'll go through now the levels of counseling. Every level. Now, normally levels, you go to the first level, then the second level, third level, fourth level. So, fourth level and fifth level. There are five levels of counseling, 5 stages of counseling. Okay. So, only you achieve first level, you can proceed to the next level. If you don't fulfill the first level, you can't proceed to the next level. Okay. Right. We'll check what are those. Okay. Before that, Robert Kaka, so he has introduced 7 core conditions. He thinks these are the 7 conditions a counselor should have and follow. Right? Empathy, respect, genuineness, concreteness, self-disclosure, immediacy, and courage. Okay. So this is Robert Kaka's 7 core condition. We discuss about this when we are talking about skills of a counselor, when we are applying. Okay. So the same thing, but we have discussed all this time, the same thing. So Robert Kaka, his 7 core conditions of a counseling session or counseling. Right. Counseling stages, levels. So 5 levels are there. First one, rapport and relationship building. You build a rapport and relationship. So in this stage, what you have to do, what are the things that you have to collect, what are the things that you have to give, how you maintain your gestures and everything. The gesture maintaining and everything, we have already spoken in the first sections before, few sections before, right? So I'm not going to go into those things. I'm just going to talk about this level and what you have to achieve to go to the next level. In this level, what you have to achieve to go to the next level. And second is as an assessment of problem definition. So finding out the problem after building a rapport, you have to assess the problem. Okay, right. Um, Sorry. So third one is goal setting. Goal setting, you are going to plan after assessment, you are going to plan what you are going to do next. You are going to come to an agreement between you and the client. And initiating interventions or plan of action. So you come to a conclusion, you come to an agreement, then you plan in which way you are going to achieve that goal, set that goal. And 5, termination or follow up, right? So these are the 5 levels of counseling. So we are going to see one by one. Okay, right. So rapport and relationship. Psychological climate resulting from the interpersonal contact of client and counselor. So here you are going to build rapport. You are going to set up a psychological climate in the result of both your interpersonal relationship and attractiveness, and also the client's one, and the contract between you both. Living and evolving conditions. So the positions, chair positions, and everything. Now I have told you, like when we are engaging in some therapies, we used to set up our seating arrangements in different ways. Passing ship arrangement, or the Sigmund Freud's famous couch model, or normal seating model. We always maintain 45-degree. So okay, don't worry about these things. All these things I will be explaining it to you in a original physical classroom setup. So the I'm receiving the final class to do all these things and do some role plays as well, right? So don't worry about if you don't get it what I'm talking about. So living and evolving conditions and relationship include respect, trust, and relative psychological comfort. So some clients says, ma'am, I don't like using certain words, or I don't like this, or I don't like this light on. Can we close the door? Or I don't want 2 counselors together. I don't want any observations to here. Can you send that madam also out? So there are things. So we adjust everything and we come to a agreement between us, and we set up, we build the rapport and relationship between the client and counselor. So in this stage we do all these things. Okay. And rapport and relationship impacted by counselor's personal and professional qualification, right? So some counselors, they are very professionally qualified, but their personality doesn't go with the client. Sometimes personality goes, but they are not competent enough in their professional sides. So these also has an impact on the relationship building. And from the client side, interpersonal history, anxiety state, interrelation skills, previous ability to share. So some clients are normally comes after sharing the same thing again and again and again with lot of counselors, lot of people. So sometimes they tell things uh, half swallowed and things like that. So they swallow halfway and tell you things. So you should know how to get those things out from them, right? So understanding the unspoken words also very important to be a counselor. Reading between lines, very important, right? So interpersonal history, his history. So if you can gather his history from him, the person who came with him, or any other documentations that he has, previous documentations or anything. So the history, anxiety state. At the moment, what is the anxiety state that he is? Is
Miss,
he high? Yeah. Hello.
Miss,
Yeah.
usually when they come for counseling, do they have to bring all their medical reports and all, Miss?
Normally, some people brings if they already gone. That's why
Okay.
the previous ability to share. Now they have already gone for a lot of people. They know,
Ah, okay, right.
and they bring. Some people they don't bring, and they from the second or third sessions they used to bring. If there is anything, if there is nothing, they don't have to. Now we say if a client comes and sit down and says, okay, he's showing very much pretty bad impulses and all those things, and without the report you don't know what he is actually going on. That happens to me once. I was on this factory. I was on the counseling session on this factory. Suddenly a HR manager called me from mother plant and said, ma'am, there is a person. He is showing very different type of talks from the morning. I feel very suspicious. Can you just talk to him? And I asked, what is it saying? Then he says, Mama මැරෙනවා. අද තමයි ඔයාලා මාව දකින අන්තිම දවස. හෙට එනම් මාව දකින්න පුළුවන් වෙයිද දන්නේ නැහැ. So we are working with heavy machines, ma'am. අතවත් ඔළුවවත් දැම්මොත් ඉවරයි. So can you talk to him? So I asked whether he acted in that way before. There's a සමහර දවස්වලට එහෙම කරලා තියෙනවා මීට කලින්. හැබැයි මෙච්චර මේවට කරලා නැහැ. එයා අඬන්න ඔන්න මෙන්න වගේත් ඉන්නේ. හරි අමාරුයි මිස්ටර් බලන්න මිස් බලන්න. Then I said okay, send them to me. So it's kind of he is in thought of suiciding, right? So after coming, you know how tall I am, no?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, okay, go I'm the class. Sorry, my daughter. So how tall I am? So he is like 6'3" tall, gigantic person, and he
Oh,
came and sat
really?
down. So you can see that I'm also very tall now. So after he sat down, okay, I made him sit. Okay, fine. What's going on? So luckily, the HR manager was outside the room. He's walking, and it's a training center, so there are a lot of people around, even the security and everything. But I'm alone with him in the room. So he started talking. He doesn't have any connection between two things. Now he talk about some family issue, then he talk about Pansala, and then he talk about Japan. and everything. And he was telling that he every day he used to go to Japan and come back, so which is highly impossible, right? And and the meantime, I can see that he is just about to cry. His face is getting red, and he's very fair. His face is getting red and all. Then when I ask about his family history and all, he tell something, and suddenly he go to that temple. And again, when I call him back, and he tells something, and I suddenly go back to the Japan, right? So there is no connection between talks, and he has some delusional. He's showing some delusions like I'm going to Japan every day. I want to build a temple like that in Sri Lanka. I want to develop everything, and there are things you will come to know one day what I'm talking about, and all these jumbled talks. And suddenly, what he does, he came closer to me, and one hand in my chair's arm, another one in um, the wall behind me. Just imagine a situation
My
like
God,
that.
Miss,
How
what
close?
you scared me.
Okay. And he's shaking my chair with one hand, and he's saying, මේ විප්ලවය ගැන මිස් දන්නේ නැහැ. මිස්ට කවදා හරි දැනගන්න හම්බෙයි. And I was like, okay.
Miss, I didn't understand, Miss. What did he tell?
Viplava in the sense, some revolution.
Revolution, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Now he
Okay.
was all everything about some other things, temples and all. Then he's talking about a revolution. So you see a unmatching talk there, okay? So I was really scared because we don't know the impulses, and he's just about to cry also. He's not crying, but the voice and everything, face, everything is red. So I understood that something is going on, maybe schizophrenia or else bipolar. I gathered that. So he is in the not in the manic, he is in the depression situation, depressive situation. So that's why. And I said, okay, අපි කතා කරමු. විප්ලවයක් කියලා කිව්වේ කියන්න. Then still he is like that. He is close to me. I said, දැන් මහත්මයාට මේම වාඩි වෙන එක අමාරුයිනේ. හොඳට හාන්සි වෙලා වාඩි වෙලා මට විප්ලවය ගැන කියන්නකෝ. Then he went back.
So, Miss,
You
whatever
understand?
they say, you have to agree to what they say and you have to take up a talk. No, Miss.
Yeah.
That is. Okay.
Now
okay,
don't
right.
worry, you won't
You
come
can never
across
disagree to what they say.
you won't come across your teachers. You are just going to guide your students, okay? So these are extreme things. To see, he is taking, he's under medication for bipolar, right? 4th grade bipolar medication. He stopped taking his medication for a week. Okay, so that's why he went into
Okay.
depressive level. So I wrote a letter and I called the wife and everyone. Even wife doesn't know what she knows that he's taking medicine, but for what they doesn't know, because the literacy level is such. So after I got down the papers, the hospital papers, then in the papers it's written bipolar. Okay, so the anxiety state also matters. So you can't now. Do you think with this client you can confront? Do a confrontation part? No. If you try to confront, that is the end of my life. That day, Sudarshini, done. So you can't shout also. You can't shout. You can't go back. And this happened to one of my senior. She was working for Sahanaya Panadura, right? So there you have inpatients, highly distressed inpatients. Sahane deal with bipolar and schizophrenia, right? So there are inpatients. So even in the nights, you hear people getting up and shouting 3 o'clock in the morning, all these things you can experience there. So once when she was writing a report, a lady came behind her and she pointed her fingers, hands, both hands to the neck. Okay, a schizophrenic lady, and kept the thumb in her throat and asked, "Mama, oya Mr. Kamiri kannada?" Just imagine.
Oh,
Mama, mama, miske billa miri kannada? Shall I squeeze your neck like this?
Oh my God.
So, ma'am said, she was panicked, but still she maintained to say, she managed to say, "Ane, පොඩ්ඩක් ඉන්න මේ report එක ලියලා ඉවර කරනකම්. Can you just wait until I finish this report?" Then she also started laughing and she took her hand off, and ma'am also got up and changed the position. Right? So these type of things we will encounter in this thing. So the anxiety level of the client also matters when we are building rapport. How we have to talk. Right? Previous ability to share. There are clients, they are better than doctors sometimes. They know what is the medicine that they have to take, what is the dosage, and if something goes wrong with them, what they have to take additionally, what are the side effects of those medicines. They know everything. And before we start talking, Miss Mekane ahanne yanne, you are going to ask this, no? This is the answer. They ask the question and they will tell the answer also. Right? So everything is there for you to think about when you're building a rapport with the client. Okay? Very hard to deal with these clients. Those who have already gone to many people, they have very much experienced in these things. It's very hard to deal with because they know what we are going to ask next and what we are going to do, and they know the diagnosis also. So you have to use, so that's why the perspectives help us. They have gone through many behavioral perspective, then you can change it to humanistic or analytic. So that's why the perspectives also matter, right? So you can start the rapport building and get the details, collecting data, everything. You can do it in a different perspective where he is not experienced so far, right? Okay, newcomers, is it okay with you all? Am I
Yes,
too
madam.
fast?
No, no, madam. No.
Okay, no?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. If you want, you can stop me and ask. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, if you hear any new words or new things, you can stop me and ask. Right. So after getting data, building rapport and all these things, you are going into assessment part, right? Assessment part. So clinical assessment involve specific skills. So when you are doing assessment, you need to have some specific skills: observation, inquiry, associating facts, recording information, forming hypothesis, clinical hunch. So observation, you should be able to read the body language. That's why we ask you to maintain eye contacts, the leaned posture, the seating arrangements, everything. Everything, because you have to do a proper observation, because patient would say something, but you will see whether he is happily saying that or angrily or sad, or it's disturbing him how much. So those things you have to record it in the sense, not in your phone or the recorder. You can take down notes, or else you can keep it in your mind and later you can take down notes. Normally the name, age, phone number, the basic details I used to record in front of the client, not other things. Only with one word or two words, that is also I don't take my eyes off from the client, but I take it down in the piece of paper and then I fill the formal forms. Okay, so observation is really, really important when you do a clinical assessment, right? And sometimes clients might say, I'm okay and all, but you can see their hands are shivering, their body is shivering when they are describing certain things, their voice is breaking. All these things you can take it into consideration when you do assessments and inquiry. So you have to ask questions. Once they talk about themselves, they pour out themselves, and you gather data from that, now you have to ask, you have to do inquiries, right? You have to do inquiries. So in when it comes to skill practice, I will tell you how to go on this, how to do observation and inquiry and all those things. What are the things that you have to do when we are doing skill practice and techniques? I will explain you. Okay, associating facts. There are facts which is associating to the observation and inquiries that you do, and recording information. All the information that you gather has to be recorded, and forming hypothesis. You come to a idea, you get a clear idea what what would have happened and what is the disturbance can be. You build a hypothesis. Now building hypothesis after, now he didn't say that he is having bipolar, but with the talks, with the expressions, with the facial expressions and everything, I built my hypothesis as schizophrenia or bipolar. Then it fits somewhere. It's bipolar, right? So that's how you are forming hypothesis. It means you take bricks from the client and you build a new wall for your own self. Okay? Any questions on assessment up to now?
Miss, I didn't understand the last one, Miss.
Forming hypothesis in the sense, now you come to a conclusion within you with the data and things that you collected from the client. Now the client, in my, now I have explained your case now. In that case, did the client tell me that what exactly he is going through? No.
No.
Right? He gave me indications. So his
Ah,
talk patterns, his expressions, his facial expressions, right? And what I collected from his HR manager, everything helps me to build a hypothesis about his distress, right? I came to a conclusion this can be schizophrenia or bipolar, right? So to see it's a bipolar now. It's a bipolar effect. So forming hypothesis, what you gather from your observations, inquiries and everything, you build some hypothesis that can be changed in later on. That is something you can change it, right? It can be changed or it will get stronger, right? But you should have a ground to play, isn't it? So you forming hypothesis or building hypothesis in the sense you are getting a hunch, right? Clinical hunch. That's why we call clinical hunches. Something for you to grab on when you climb a rock. Have you ever seen people doing rock climbing? Huh? Hello, everyone.
No, miss.
Miss.
You haven't seen people climbing a rock? Haven't
No.
you climbed a rock? At least went for a trip and got into something? No. When you're climbing
Yes,
rock,
I
there is
think.
no proper steps or anything, right? To get to the another step, another inch more, you just find some place to hang on. So this is something like that. Keep all four limbs in something for you to stick to that rock. Okay. Or something which holds you connected to the story. Okay. You will understand this when I'm teaching you skill practice. Okay. I'll teach you. Or else when you do the role plays, you will come to know what is hypothesis building. Don't worry. We will do these things in a practical way. Don't worry. Okay. Right. So in this, we are just talking about observation. Take notice of the clients because that is very important. Take notice of the client's general state of anxiety. Establish sense of client's cultural context. Now we have to be very careful about the client's beliefs and culture, right? So for some people, okay, accepting a woman with the shorts, right, is easy for a person who came up in a culture like that. In for another person who came up in a very orthodox background, it is very difficult for him to accept a woman in a shorts or short dress, right? So the cultural background you have to understand, because you can't ask what's wrong in it. Why did you feel distress? Because of that. Because maybe for you it's normal, for him it's not normal. Okay. So the norms will change according to the person's cultural and religious beliefs. So establish sense of client's cultural context. Note gestures, movements that donate emotional, physical dysfunctions. Some clients show stereotype of movements, right? We call it motor tics. They have very, they do the same thing again and again and again, right? So you have to note down those gestures or movement or physical dysfunctions. Here, how the client frames his or her problem. Sometimes clients are very positive. Sometimes they are very negative. So you have to hear how they are framing their problems. Some people are very defensive. They tell the story as they are good, they did the right thing, right? So how they are framing, because you have to, in Tamil we have a saying, "Adra mata adi karakanam, padra mata paadi karakanam." It means if the cow is dancing to get milk from the cow, you have to dance. If the cow is singing in order to get milk, you have to sing with the cow, right? So same principle applies here. You have to hear properly how he frames, then only you can sing. You have to decide whether to sing with him or dance with him to get him into order, to be an effective counselor. Understand?
Yes, miss.
Okay. Note verbal and non-verbal patterns. Note verbal and non-verbal patterns. So when you are doing observations, you have to take down all these into consideration, right? Observation is more than what client says. You can gather a lot of information by observing the client. That's why we ask all the counselors to maintain proper eye contacts, right? Conceptualizing problems, recognize a client's need, understand the need, meet that need, right? So assessment, conceptualizing problems, you have to recognize a client need, understand that need, and meet that need. You have to recognize first. Okay, this is a need. For you, that will be a silly thing, what his need is. But for him, it's big. So you have to recognize as how he feels about it, and understand, you have to understand what it is and meet the need, why he has to go to that. So you have to help him to meet the need. Any questions so far?
No, miss.
Any questions so far?
No, miss.
No, miss.
No, miss. Okay. Right. So we are going into the next, goal settings. So assessment part is done. Okay. Now you have assessed. You know why, what is the need. You understood the need, and you are going to help him towards the need. Right. Every client's need is, some clients need relaxation, some clients want to get off the problem, some clients want to solve the problems, anything, right? Some clients need some guidance, anything. So you are going to do a goal setting. So in goal setting, what you do is indicates how well counseling is working. Indicates how well counsel. Now, if you are come to this, if you come to this stage, this level, it means your counseling has worked well. Okay. So, and indicates when counseling should be concluded. Now you know how long this session is going to take, because here you are going to come to an agreement with your client what you are going to do next, because you built the rapport, you got the details, you got the facts, data, everything, hypothesis building is done, and assessment is done, need is identified. So now you are planning a goal with the client. So you're coming for a agreement with them. Prevents dependent relationships. Now there are clients, when they come to us, they say, I feel good talking to you, right? I feel good talking to you. Can I come once in a week or once in a month? I don't mind paying. So you're also happy because they pay now. Can you do that? Can you do that? Can a client come to you lifelong because he or she is feeling safe and good and all those things? Is it possible?
No, it depends with what kind of problem he or she has.
Whatever the problem.
He can't do that, miss.
But lifelong he can't come, no?
Lifelong, it means you have failed as a counselor. You fail to direct him towards his goals or needs. And we are making him a dependent. So goal setting, in the goal setting, we are planning the end also, where we are going to stop, how we are going to stop this counseling session, right? I told you, normally a counseling section is 6 to 8 maximum, 6 to 8 sessions. If it is running more than that, then there is a serious issue. But some point it has to stop. It has to be terminated. Only the follow-ups after that. Because you can't petting a person throughout, right? So prevent dependent relationship. It means you are helping the client to solve his problem or her problem on her own. You're not going to carry the client. How many clients that you can carry like this? You can't. Then it will become your burden, right? After that, you need some counseling. So don't allow people to be dependent on you. So goal setting helps you to prevent dependent relationships and determines the selection of intervention. How it determines how you are going to intervene. What are the ways that you are going to select, whether medicinal way or therapeutic way or behavioral way, anything. Okay, so that is goal setting. So in goal setting, we have two people. One is counselor and client. So in counselor's side, greater objectivity, because you have to stick to the point always. So you have to maintain greater objectivity. And trainings in normal and abnormal behavior. You should have proper training on normal behaviors and abnormal behaviors, and process experience. If you are experienced, you can handle things very easily. Otherwise, you have to get help from a person who is experienced, right? Here you maintain your genuinity and all your trustworthiness here, because if you say something which you don't know, then the trustworthiness will be break. So counselor has to have a greater objectivity, training, and process experience. The client is the experience with the problem. He has the experience with the problem, not us. We know what he told, but he is the one or she is the one who knows exactly what's happening in the problem. So he has a better experience with the problem and history of the problem. He knows the history of the problem better than us, and potential insights, right? We have to respect the insights of the client. What is insight? What is insight? Anyone? All are sleeping.
No, miss.
It's a
No,
simple
miss.
question. What is insight?
No, miss. No, miss. Listening.
Listening. Then I ask you a question, then you have to answer.
Insight is the deep understanding. Like you have a proper understanding of someone or something.
Understanding. Any answers? Any other answers? Potential insights. Hmm?
Is it an information like that?
Insight.
Insight means understanding someone, a deep understanding. So potential insight is
So, what do you know about intuition?
sorry, miss.
Intuition or perception.
Intuition is that's also to understand. It's all about understanding someone. Miss.
Yeah, it's a deep understanding. Yes, that is right. Like
Yeah.
sometimes because they are in the problem, they have a deeper understanding than us about the problem. They know, they have some insights like, okay, if this happens, this won't happen. Or if this become right, then everything will be okay. Kind of deep understand, kind of a belief. Okay, which we can't get it about their problem. Only the client has. So when you are suggesting something, he will answer with this insight. Okay, he will answer with this potential insight. He will accept your suggestions or reject the suggestions because of this potential insight. Okay, so that is insight. Client has a deeper understanding or a deeper feeling about the problem. Okay, awareness of personal investment in change. Now, When you are meeting the need of the client, there you are making a change in his life. So sometimes you don't know what he has to invest on that, but he knows. He knows whether he can invest or not. Sometimes it can be money, sometimes it can be time, sometimes it can be a relationship. It can cost anything to come to that. So awareness, his awareness on his investment is a valid point in this goal setting. It has an impact on goal setting, because if he is not ready to do that, if he is not ready to do that investment, then you can't go on the suggestion or the path, or you can't set the goals in the way that you want. These things also has to be considered, right? Any questions? No. I asked the question and I answer.
Yes.
Okay. Interventions. Now we passed that level also. So we considered all these things. So we come to an agreement. Okay, this is the thing we are we are going to achieve. This is the these are the needs we have. These are the insights, the suggestions, and everything is done. So none in other 2 sessions or 3 sessions, you do this homework and all these things. I'll give you homework. You have to do the homework. So he come to an agreement. So goal setting is done. So now you are going to intervene towards the goal. So intervention is objective, initiate and facilitate clients change. It should be objective, right? Because what he needs, you have to address the exact need. So you have to be in the objectivity. So you have to initiate and facilitate clients changes. After assessment and goal settings, answer the questions, how shall we accomplish these goals? So after assessment and goal settings, excuse me kids. Sorry. Right. So after assessment, you should ask the question, how shall we accomplish these goals? How are we going to achieve these goals? So you are getting his idea and his agreement too. Must be related to the problem. The intervention should be related to the problem. When he has a traumatic issue, you can't do a behavioral therapy. Or when he has depression, you can't ask him to do some cognitive therapy, right? If he has a high depression, you have to send to the medication. So you have to come to that conclusion. So must be related to the problem. And selecting an intervention may become an adaptive process, right? So sometimes you have to do some behavioral changes towards the client, and you have to make him go through the adaptive process. Okay, clear? Intervention, you're
Yes, miss.
finding a way, and according to the agreement, you are selecting the path, which way we are going to do that, right? Okay, this suggestion doesn't work. Okay, 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 we'll go for this. Okay, this works. Okay, then you have to do this. Are you agree? Okay, when are you coming back? With this date, you have to do these things and come back. So you are intervene. You are doing an intervention, right? Skills to initiate and include the skills that you need to do the intervention. Those include competency with the intervention, knowledge of appropriate uses, knowledge of typical client responses, observation skills to note client's response. Now, here your competency works. Okay, you should know to which to use what, right? So, if he is suffering from a trauma, you should be able to use a trauma relief intervention. So you should be competent in that. If not, you have to send them, right? And knowledge of appropriate uses. Okay, he is having trauma, but according to his age, I can't use certain things. According to his literacy level, I can't use certain things. So the appropriate uses and knowledge of typical client responses. How he is responding, whether he is getting into this with, whether he likes to get into this or else he dislikes. So you have to see his responses and observation skills to note whether he is doing progress, whether he is progressing in this line, or whether he is not progressing, or whether he is showing some other symptoms. Certain things you have to think of. Okay, right. So now we came to termination. Lehini, can you hear me?
Miss Lehini's connection problem, Miss. She will leave and then come back. She will leave and then come back.
Yeah, no, some issue. She can't hear, it seems. Yeah, she is connected twice. Okay. Lehini, are you there?
Yes, Miss. Hi, Miss. Yeah.
Can you hear?
Yeah, I can hear now. Finally.
Okay, cool. Finally. Right. So we are talking about interventions. Now we are done with interventions. If you have anything, you go through the note and come back to me and ask. Okay, Lehini? Right. So the termination. Now we achieved all the levels. Right? Everything is done properly. So the termination. No clear cut endings. Now, when it comes to termination, you don't have, okay, when he achieved this, you can terminate. There is no such clear cut ends in termination. It's up to you to do the termination part, or it's up to the client to do the termination part. No clear cut ending, but no need to continue beyond usefulness. Now, once he started recovering and you see a good progress in him, no need of continuing the session after that, because the usefulness is already achieved. Okay, awareness by the counselor and the client that the work is accomplished. Now, it's, if you might feel okay, he is progressing, then you have to inform, you have to acknowledge him and make him aware that he is progressing. Mostly clients, they know, but if the client is still want to cling to yourself, cling to you and maintain a dependency part, then you have to make him understand or her understand that the usefulness is already achieved. This is what you need. This is what our agreement. So after this, we are only going to follow up, not counseling anymore, right? May take the same number of sessions as rapport building. Sometimes termination part might take same number of sessions for you to supervise whether he is actually progressing, whether he achieved the need and all those things, and you can come to a term. On this part, you don't do much counseling or much uh, concentration on the problem, but on the progression, right? In termination part, you talk about the progression, how he is recovering, how he is coming out, whether he is feeling any disturbance in the process. That's all. Not about the problem. Okay. So termination may take same number of sessions as rapport building took. Not much as assessment or intervention takes, but much as rapport building took. There are several types of termination, right? One is suggested termination with client's agreement. You suggest a termination. Okay. Now you are okay. I feel you are good. You are doing good. How do you feel? If you are okay, right. Then after this, you don't need to come for counseling sessions. Like that, you come to agreement with the client. You suggest a termination. Second one is imposed terminations. Continue is against client's best interest. Now, client is not interested in continuing. So you can, that impose a termination to the counseling session. Client is detrotting, not progressing. Whether if the client is going backwards, worse than before, then you have to terminate the thing, or else you don't see any progression. So you have to either start another session or look into the new problems that arises, or you have to sometimes it needed a medical supervision, so you have to put it to that. So there also you have to terminate the session. And incompatibility with the therapist. Sometimes some clients doesn't like the therapist, then they won't support the therapist to do. So incompatibility with the therapist also has to be end in a termination. Client using therapy in place of life. Client using therapy in place of life. Now without he is living the life, he is using the therapy to live. Only with the therapy he is living. If not, no. Then he needs some more support with medicine and all. So you have to terminate the session and you have to send. Or else if he's become dependent on you, you have to terminate the session. Some clients get affectionately involved with you. That also you should not allow, because now for you this is not applicable. For a professional practicing counselor, this is applicable, because we can't maintain any type of relationships with a client. If we want to maintain, we have to wait after the termination for 5 years to maintain a relationship. That's why we are not allowed to do counseling for our own families and members. So these things will come in the code of conduct, ethical conduct part, where we will discuss in the last part of the session. Not in this session, but in the module, the last part, you will come to know what are the ethical code of ethics in counseling, right? So client using therapy in place of life, right? So types of terminations. And the third type, situational termination. It means sometimes clients moves. Client thinks it's no more the problem. The problem is no more a problem. So he moves from the problem, or else employment or insurance changes. Sometimes now I'm going to the factory. I told you some factories I'm going. So in that factory, if the I'm giving therapy to a client, if the client leaves the factory, he can't come for the therapy. So like that also, that can happen. Termination can happen. And early termination, some clients after one session they feel either very good or no use, then they won't turn back. So that is early termination. Without doing anything, without going through the levels, you have to terminate the session. Okay. Any questions on this?
No, miss. No questions. No questions.
Today in weather forecast they said no, it's going to rain.
But it's sunny outside.
Sunny. But I don't know, it may rain. My forecast.
Miss, too many notes, miss. Have to refer through the notes. Too many theories, I mean.
Actually, you don't need this much deeper thing,
Oh.
but I'm giving it to you because you have to have a clear understanding, because
Yeah.
this has to be done in a
Only if we
classroom.
read and if we have doubts, then we will again disturb you and
You,
ask.
okay. No questions, right?
No, miss.
So the skills and skill practice techniques will come. It will come on Friday. So on Friday, I expect your all your homeworks to be done. Okay.
Miss, the
Friday,
homework is on the theories of counseling now.
yeah,
You
theories of
want a
counseling.
brief note about it, no?
Brief note about it. Okay.
How many
Uh,
theories, miss?
there are actually 6 perceptions, right? And many more theories. How many of things that you can find? Just find and write. Okay. Right. So if there is no questions, we can wind up the class for the day. It's 4:45, 15 minutes early. Right?
Is it okay, Miss?
I have to ask you, is it okay? Because we can't use any more examples or anything because it's in this setup we can't. If it is in a class setup, I would have asked you to sit, and so it would have taken some time. We need
So
more
we
than
will
that.
have this
We
one,
will
no,
be
Miss, one to
definitely
one.
we will be having a class setup practice for this. I have already informed Mr. Mayuran about that because counseling
Okay.
is not something that you can study like
Yeah,
this. Okay,
yeah.
you all know, no? So we will be definitely having at least 2 classes in a classroom setup. Okay.
Miss,
And
we didn't
also,
get
Miss,
last week notes, miss.
You didn't get it? I'll send it to you.
Yeah, miss.
I'll send it to you.
and also,
Okay.
Miss, you said that we can't do counseling for our own family members or to our
Yes. Yes.
relations, no? But why?
According to the code of ethics, it's prohibited. Okay, I'll tell you simple. Now,
Okay.
in your family, how many
Yeah.
times you have advised your people?
So many
So
times I've
many.
advised my brothers.
Are they listening?
No, Miss.
Only for 1 hour. That's it. And then again back
Back
to the
to
same
same.
thing.
And how many times that you hear that something that you have spoken and twisted and came back to you?
When I do the same thing, same mistake also.
Yeah, it twisted and come back to you. Something you would have
Yeah.
said for good, but it turned to be a bad thing against you, right? And
Mm.
how many times that you have seen your own people are lying to you,
Yeah.
right? Why?
Mm. Maybe because they don't want to share their personal stuff.
Because we are in the
That we might
family.
tell it to others.
We are in the family. We know each other
Mm.
well, right? And we have an impact towards each other in the family. Later on, if she or he tells about his personal things to you, hmm,
Yeah.
if you use it against him or her
Mm.
in some point of time,
Yeah. Hello, Miss.
right?
Yes, I didn't hear you.
Okay, whenever you do a counseling session, you ask for the exact things from the client. If he gives you the exact
Mm.
story, exact facts, then you can help him effectively. So for that, he has to trust you. You have to maintain a confidentiality and everything, right? But
Mm.
let's say your sister's husband comes and talks to you, right? You are doing counseling. Counseling, can you do it in the open space? No.
No.
But if your sister suspects,
Yeah, she might.
creates
She will
unnecessary
suspect.
problem
Yeah.
in the family, and it will become a ineffective session. So finally, you will lose your confidence towards counseling, right? To avoid all these things, the code of ethics says no counseling to the friends or family. Simple.
Okay.
It's just to protect the counselor and their state of mind. Okay. You understand now?
Yes, miss.
Okay. It won't be effective. It will
Yeah.
not be effective. Okay.
Yeah, I have seen that, like with my little cousins and my school kids. It's really
You
different.
can listen. You can use some of your skills to reduce the distress of your people, like listening or ensuring, and make sure that nothing goes out. But the problem is to tell it, they tell the same thing to some other person and tell the same thing to us. And if that story goes out by the other person, they suspect us as well,
They suspect us. Yeah, true.
right? Then they question our professionalism. So even in gatherings, and good thing that I experience when I say, okay, I'm a counselor or psychologist, they just come and say, okay, you're a psychologist, you learn psychology, now tell me about me.
They will ask. No?
Am I a palm reader or face reader? No, I'm a psychologist. Now tell me about myself. Tell me something interesting. Tell some
என்ன
story.
மூஞ்சிய பார்த்து சொல்லுங்க.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
I can't do miracles, and especially if I go for any gatherings, I keep myself away from these talks.
Yeah.
And sometimes some people, they come to me, and after that sometimes they become family problem. The person who came to me long before, I saw
Yeah.
him in a function to see he is related to me. Can't help.
Oh.
The session is done and terminated. That's a different story. And he is like looking at me scared and
You might wonder that you might tell or something.
exactly. And the funny part is I don't remember him. Right now, I have this habit. I don't know whether it's a good habit or a bad habit. I don't
You
recognize
forget.
people outside my counseling room. I have practiced in that way.
So that means
So
you won't recognize us also, no? If you see
mostly
us.
yes. Mostly yes. I don't. You have to come and tell. I know I have seen your face somewhere.
But you won't
Since I'm
remember.
dealing with clients and everything, sensitive things,
You won't
I
remember.
don't try to talk to people.
Is it
Even
like,
if I
are
see
you
them.
on that practice, miss, to
That's a
like
practice.
not to?
That's a practice that we
Oh.
practice, because some clients doesn't like that we are talking about. We are showing that we know them.
Yeah.
So if I do that mistake, so no point that I do counseling for him. So to prevent from that, I keep everybody like that.
That's better.
If I see the face, if I recognize the face, even then I don't talk. If they smile at me, I'll smile. If they come and talk and they recall the memories, if it is appropriate, I talk. Otherwise, I don't talk. Because some clients doesn't like. Some clients, even in a shopping mall, they come and that day we were talking about you something that is solved, miss. Thanks to you. I was like, I said, okay. No, I don't know what is
Isn't
that.
it so weird?
It's so embarrassing. So embarrassing. But that happens.
And
So if I see you somewhere and if I don't show that I recognize you, you all come and talk, because I normally don't know whether you are my client or my student or who. Right? So don't be upset if I don't talk to you. Okay.
okay, miss.
Good opportunity for me to tell this.
Yeah, and good for us to know as well.
Because sometimes I just smile and go. That's all. So some
Oh,
people come,
okay.
ඔයා මං ඊයේ දැක්ක ඔයා කතා කරේ නෑනේ. Maybe some of my office staff whom I don't associate very often. I see
Okay.
them in the office, but I don't know whether what is their name or how do I know. So I register them as a face, known face. That's all. I have seen the face before. So they are also like, I may mate kata kare na te hoye ina vela giyane. Atta de oyada. I'm sorry. So then I have to explain all these things to them. Right? So you also don't take it serious. If you see me, come and talk and tell, okay, ma'am, I'm your student or something like that, then I will recognize. Otherwise, no. Right?
Okay.
So now you got the answer why you should not do counseling for your own people, right?
Yeah.
So when it comes to code of ethics, we'll discuss a lot of things. Some are funny. Some are really doesn't make
Boring.
sense in the first initial hearing, and but it makes a lot of sense. So we'll see.
Okay.
Some are really only for Sri Lankan context. There are things. Okay.
What do you mean by Sri Lankan country? Is it like different from countries to country, miss?
Countries to countries, yes. There are
Oh.
something which is common to all the countries, like confidentiality and suicidal issues and all those things. There are certain things only for Sri Lankan context, like sexual counseling, family counseling things.
Okay.
Because according to our culture, we are not supposed to, okay, unmarried counselors are not allowed to do sexual counseling,
Yeah.
right? But in
Yeah.
foreign countries, that is not so.
Because most of them don't get married
Who?
in abroad, especially British people.
Yeah, they don't see
They
sex
prefer
and
being
marriage
single.
together.
Yeah.
You don't have to be married to have
Have
sexual
sex.
experience. But
Yeah.
here, according to the culture, it's different. So that is that. So like that, you will see a lot of things, a lot of interesting things in that subject. Hope we can meet as person
Yes,
and
miss. We just want to
can
finish this curfew and the thing.
everything.
So
So we'll see. So Friday class, we'll be learning skills practice. So be ready for that. So I see you. Okay, be safe. Stay at home. There are 29 more people has found with COVID-19. So be at
Yeah,
home.
300 odd.
Now it's 300 odd.
Yeah.
So be safe, children, and do your homework. I'll catch you on
You
Friday.
too, miss. Thank you, miss.
Thank you.
Thank you, miss.
Bye,
Take care.
miss.
See you.
Take care.